The 1970s were television's wildest decade. Shows pushed boundaries until they shattered completely. One episode triggered nationwide riots. Another got banned for showing something so controversial that entire cities refused to air it. These aren't your typical cancellation stories. Number 10. Maude's two-part abortion episode, Maude's Dilemma. This one didn't just push the envelope, it set the whole mailroom on fire. Norman Lear's Maude tackled the ultimate taboo when the title character discovers she's pregnant at 47 and decides to terminate. The November 1972 episodes aired just months before Roe v. Wade, making B. Arthur's character the first primetime protagonist to choose this path. The Catholic Church went ballistic. Protesters flooded CBS switchboards. Entire affiliate stations refused to air the episodes, creating a patchwork of censorship across America. When CBS attempted reruns the following summer, 39 stations flat out refused. The controversy reached fever pitch when the episodes were sold internationally. Ireland banned them completely. The Vatican issued official condemnation. Arthur later said the fan mail was split down the middle, but death threats outnumbered support letters 3-1. The episodes were so radioactive that CBS didn't air them again for over a decade. Even today, some markets edit them heavily. Lear defended his choice, saying television had a responsibility to reflect real conversations happening in American homes. The episodes cost CBS millions in lost advertising revenue, but they proved that sitcoms could tackle issues that news programs wouldn't touch. Revolutionary television that came with a price tag most networks weren't willing to pay. Number 9. The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. Political censorship war. These guys turned variety show comedy into a weapon against the establishment, and CBS eventually called in the troops to stop them. Tom and Dick Smothers used their platform to roast the Vietnam War, organized religion, and conservative politics with surgical precision. The breaking point came with their 1969 season. CBS censors were cutting entire segments, including a routine where comedian David Steinberg delivered a sermon. The network demanded pre-approval of all content, essentially neutering the show's rebellious spirit. When the brothers tried to air anti-war activist Joan Baez dedicating a song to her imprisoned husband, CBS pulled the plug. The final straw was their Easter Sunday 1969 episode. The Smothers included footage of Vietnam War protests and anti-establishment commentary that CBS deemed too inflammatory. Network executives fired them via telegram, claiming breach of contract for delivering the show late. The brothers fought back with a $31 million lawsuit against CBS, eventually winning a settlement. But the damage was done. Their show vanished from primetime, replaced by the safe and sanitized hee-haw. Tom Smothers later admitted they knew they were pushing too hard, but believed comedy had to evolve beyond simple entertainment. Their firing became a cautionary tale about network power versus creative freedom. The controversy overshadowed their genuine comedic talent and innovative variety show format that influenced decades of television comedy. Number 8. Turn On, canceled after one episode. This might be the fastest cancellation in television history. Turn On lasted exactly one episode before being nuked from orbit by horrified network executives and advertisers. Created by Laugh-In producer George Schlatter, Turn On was supposed to be comedy's next evolution. Instead, it became a psychedelic nightmare that made absolutely no sense. The show featured rapid-fire jokes, computer-generated graphics, and a format so chaotic that viewers couldn't follow along. The February 5th, 1969 premiere was television suicide. Sketches included robots discussing controversial topics, bizarre visual effects, and comedy so abstract it alienated everyone watching. Within minutes of the East Coast broadcast, ABC affiliates were calling New York demanding explanations. The Cleveland affiliate pulled the show off air mid-episode, replacing it with organ music. By the time the West Coast broadcast rolled around, several major markets refused to air it at all. Sponsors fled immediately. ABC canceled Turn On before the credits finished rolling on the premiere. The remaining 12 episodes were scrapped, making it the only network series to die during its debut broadcast. Schlatter defended the show as ahead of its time, but admitted the execution was disastrous. The rapid-fire editing and abstract humor confused audiences expecting traditional sketch comedy. Critics called it unwatchable. Tim Conway, who hosted the premiere, later joked that his career survived because nobody saw enough of the show to blame him. Number 7. All in the Family. Sammy's Visit. When Sammy Davis Jr. appeared on All in the Family, it created one of television's most uncomfortable moments and sparked a cultural firestorm that got the episode temporarily banned in several southern markets. The controversy erupted when Davis's character kisses Archie Bunker on the cheek, creating a photograph that becomes a neighborhood sensation. This wasn't just any kiss between characters. It was a black entertainer showing affection to television's most famous bigot, and Southern audiences lost their minds. Birmingham, Alabama stations refused to air the episode. Jackson, Mississippi edited out the kiss entirely. The NOAACP received both praise and criticism for their response, with some members feeling the episode mocked serious racial tensions, while others appreciated the boundary-pushing moment. What made it worse was Davis's character defending Archie against accusations of racism, creating complex layers of racial politics that made everyone uncomfortable. Conservative viewers felt betrayed by their anti-hero Archie, while liberal audiences questioned whether the show was promoting tolerance or normalizing prejudice. Carol O'Connor later revealed that Davis insisted on improvising the kiss, knowing it would create controversy. The moment was unscripted and captured everyone's genuine surprise. The episode became a defining moment for Norman Lear's strategy of using comedy to force conversations about race. But it also demonstrated the limits of what American television could handle in 1972, even on a show built around challenging social norms. Number 6. Soap, the gay character controversy. Before Soap even premiered, it was already television's most controversial show. Religious groups organized boycotts, advertisers pulled funding, and several stations refused to air it, all because of one character who would make television history. Billy Crystal's Jody Dallas was Primetime's first openly gay main character, and America wasn't ready. The show faced organized protests from religious organizations who claimed it promoted immoral lifestyles. The moral majority distributed boycott lists of Soap's sponsors, causing major advertisers to flee. Several ABC affiliates in conservative markets refused to air the show entirely. Others moved it to late-night time slots with content warnings. The controversy peaked when religious leaders called for a complete advertising boycott of ABC. What made the backlash worse was the show's absurdist tone. Soap treated gay themes with the same irreverent comedy as its other storylines, including alien abductions and demonic possession. Critics accused it of trivializing serious social issues. Crystal later admitted he was terrified about playing the role, knowing it could end his career before it started. The fan mail was brutal, with death threats arriving weekly. But the character also generated passionate support from viewers who had never seen themselves represented on television. The controversy ultimately helped Soap's ratings, but several episodes addressing Jody's relationships were heavily edited or delayed in conservative markets. The show proved that representation came with a price tag that networks weren't always willing to pay. Number 5. The Twilight Zone, The Encounter. This episode was so controversial that CBS banned it for decades, and it's easy to see why. The Encounter paired George Takei with a racist World War II veteran in a story that tackled Japanese-American internment with zero subtlety. The 1964 episode featured Takei as Arthur Takamori visiting the home of Fenton, a veteran who displays a captured Japanese sword. As they examine the weapon, old prejudices and wartime trauma bubble to the surface in increasingly uncomfortable ways. The controversy exploded when the episode suggested that Japanese Americans had collaborated with enemy forces during Pearl Harbor. Asian American groups protested the historical inaccuracies and harmful stereotypes. CBS pulled the episode from reruns and international sales. What made it worse was the timing. The episode aired during the Civil Rights era, when ethnic stereotyping was becoming increasingly unacceptable. Rod Serling, who wrote the episode, later admitted he may have pushed too hard on sensitive historical topics. Takei himself defended the episode as an attempt to examine American racism, but acknowledged the script's problematic elements. The episode remained banned from syndication for over 40 years, finally surfacing on DVD collections with extensive disclaimers. The incident taught television producers that some historical wounds remain too fresh for dramatic exploration. Even the Twilight Zone's reputation for social commentary couldn't protect it from episodes that crossed cultural sensitivity lines. The ban demonstrated that syndication decisions often reflected contemporary political pressures rather than artistic merit. Number 4. The Smothers Brothers, Joan Baez's dedication. This single moment destroyed one of television's most innovative variety shows. When folk singer Joan Baez dedicated a song to her imprisoned husband on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, CBS executives declared war on their own program. The 1969 performance came during peak Vietnam War protests. Baez's husband was imprisoned for draft resistance, making her dedication a political statement that CBS couldn't stomach. The network cut the dedication from the broadcast, sparking a behind-the-scenes battle that ended with the show's cancellation. Tom and Dick Smothers had been pushing boundaries for years, but this crossed CBS's tolerance line. Network executives were already receiving pressure from the Nixon administration about the show's anti-war content. The Baez incident gave them justification to act. The brothers fought back, accusing CBS of censorship and violation of creative control agreements. They leaked the uncensored performance to underground newspapers, creating a scandal that overshadowed the entertainment industry. CBS fired them via telegram, claiming contract violations for late delivery of episodes. But insiders knew the real reason was political pressure from Washington and conservative advertisers who threatened to boycott the network. The controversy effectively blacklisted the Smothers Brothers from major television for years. Their firing became a symbol of network television's submission to political pressure. The incident proved that even successful shows weren't safe if they challenged the wrong authority figures during turbulent times. Number 3. Saturday Night Live, the banned sketches. NBC's Saturday Night Live pushed boundaries every week, but several 1970s sketches were so controversial they vanished from reruns and remain largely unseen today. The worst offender was a 1979 sketch featuring the cast in racially problematic roles that triggered immediate complaints. NBC received thousands of angry calls and letters demanding explanations. The sketch was edited from reruns and international sales. Another banned moment came when Richard Pryor hosted and delivered material so raw that NBC censors had panic attacks. His monologue included commentary on racial tensions that made network executives squirm. Portions were cut from reruns for decades. The show's most controversial recurring character was also its most problematic. Mr. Mike's appearances included content so dark and disturbing that NBC eventually banned the character entirely from live broadcasts. What made these incidents worse was SNL's live format. Unlike pre-taped shows, controversial moments aired before censors could intervene. The damage was immediate and couldn't be undone. Producer Lorne Michaels later admitted they were deliberately testing boundaries, but several sketches went too far. The banned material demonstrated the difference between edgy comedy and content that genuinely harmed communities. These incidents established SNL's reputation as dangerous television, but also created a template for managing controversial content. The show learned to balance pushing boundaries with maintaining advertiser relationships, a lesson that shaped comedy television for decades. Number 2. All My Children, the First Gay Wedding. Daytime television's first same-gender wedding ceremony created a firestorm that got entire episodes banned across conservative markets and sparked organized boycotts that lasted for years. The 1977 storyline featured supporting characters in a commitment ceremony that, while not legally recognized, was presented as a wedding celebration. Conservative religious groups organized massive protests, flooding ABC with complaint letters and threatening advertiser boycotts. Several Southern affiliates refused to air the episodes, replacing them with reruns or religious programming. Procter & Gamble, the show's major sponsor, received organized boycott threats that forced them to reconsider their advertising strategy. The controversy intensified when the characters' relationship was portrayed positively, without the tragic endings that typically befell non-traditional characters on television. Religious leaders accused the show of promoting alternative lifestyles to vulnerable housewives. Creator Agnes Nixon defended the storyline as reflecting real relationships that existed in American communities. But the backlash was severe enough that the characters were written off the show within months. The incident demonstrated that daytime television, despite its reputation for pushing social boundaries, still operated within strict limits when it came to alternative relationships. The wedding episodes remained edited or banned from reruns for decades. The controversy also revealed the power of organized religious groups to influence television content through advertiser pressure. The incident became a template for future activism campaigns targeting television programming. Number 1. Maude the Radical. This episode didn't just get pulled from the air. It sparked riots and death threats that forced CBS to hire security for their stars. When Maude hosted a radical feminist gathering, American television crossed a line it couldn't uncross. The November 1973 episode featured Maude organizing a consciousness-raising group that discussed topics considered taboo for primetime television. The women's frank discussions about independence, relationships, and personal autonomy triggered the most violent audience reaction in 1970s television history. Conservative groups organized protests outside CBS stations. Several affiliates received bomb threats for airing the episode. Bae Arthur required police protection after receiving specific death threats from viewers who felt she was destroying American family values. The episode was banned from reruns in over 20 markets. Religious leaders organized petition drives demanding CBS fire the entire cast and creative team. Advertisers pulled millions in revenue, forcing the network to defend their programming decisions publicly. What made the controversy explosive was the episode's timing during the height of women's liberation movements. The episode aired just as the Equal Rights Amendment was being debated, making Maude's character a lightning rod for cultural anxieties about changing gender roles. CBS eventually restricted the episode to late-night broadcasts in conservative markets. The incident proved that sitcoms could trigger real-world violence when they challenged fundamental social assumptions about women's roles in society. Which of these controversies would get a show canceled instantly today? Or have we become so desensitized that nothing shocks us anymore? Drop your thoughts below and tell us which 1970s television moment you think was the most outrageous. Are we more or less tolerant than audiences 50 years ago?